Good morning everyone and welcome back to another episode. Today I'm going to do something a little bit different. It's something that a bunch of you guys have been asking me to do. And what we're going to do is I'm going to show you guys my setups in the trees. So for those of you that have been watching for a long time, know that my most favorite way to bow hunt is out of trees. Whether that be hang-on stands, ladder stands, tripods. I love to be elevated in the air and in a higher vantage point, basically, is what I'm trying to say. I love the advantage that gives me, and so you guys have seen all different camera angles, and y'all have seen the shot and basically the parts that you really want to see, but behind all that is my camera gear. And so here's just a little piece of equipment that I use. This is for hanging things such as my camera bag, my bow. I have a couple of different pieces that I'm going to wait to show you guys until we get into the field. But other than that, this is going to be basically a behind the scenes sort of deal, so you guys know how my setups are in the trees. And I also want to talk to you guys about some of these setups as well, and how I go about setting a stand for bow hunting. Rifle hunting, it's a little bit easier to do, but there's a lot of, to me, there's a lot of time and thought and effort put into setting up a new spot to bow hunt. It can be very rewarding if you set up in the correct spot, and it can also be very, very frustrating. So I will discuss that as we move to the field. And what I'm going to do with you guys today is, as we get there to the field, I'm going to hang a new stand. It's just going to be a little hang on, and then I'm going to have to add steps all the way up, the little screw-in tree steps. I'm going to show you how and why this spot was chosen. And originally I didn't choose this spot for this stand, but James, who used to be on deer lease with me, he was the one that chose it, and he's also pretty good at picking stands and choosing where setups should go. And so I had some success from this particular spot earlier in deer season last year. I'll play a video for you guys for that. And I can't remember if James had any success at this spot or not, but it's always been very good, and for many reasons, and I'll show you guys whenever we get there. If you have not already, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the little notification bells right next to it, because you guys don't want to miss anything. In the up and coming videos, I'm going to be sharing some good information, something a little bit more informative. I know that I try to do some hunting and fishing and bow fishing and stuff like that, and so while there probably won't be a kill shot in this video, I do want to go ahead and share some very good information that can be very helpful to some of you guys just getting into bow hunting. But go ahead and give me a thumbs up too if you guys enjoyed this video. Leave me a comment down below, because you know that I love talking to you guys. And share this video, because you know I want to help you guys, and it's nice to help others. So the more you share, the more people we reach, and the more people we reach, the more successful and possibly even more bow hunters that we'll have. So go ahead and do those series of things, and we're going to go hit the field. Okay guys, so here's the spot. This is the tree that we're going to be hunting out of this season. I've had a lot of deer activity at this spot, and it's for a couple of reasons. So I want to show you guys a couple of different things, and then we will get started. I will climb up in the stand, but I kind of wanted to cover this a little bit with you guys for just a second. So what makes this spot so good is, number one, you guys, it may be hard for y'all to tell, but there's a game trail that comes through here and right back up into that little clearing. There are game trails all through here. There's one back up over in there. There's also another one on this other side. Let me get over here so you guys can see this one right here that cuts through. And it comes all the way down And as we get closer to the opening, you can see that there's a spot there. There's a game trail here that we're walking through that cuts open through here. And of course, there's a game trail there. You guys can see that one's very heavily used. This game trail, there's several that meet into one. Now, as we come around, there's another one that shoots out this way. And there's actually a couple that go back up and through that way. But it opens up right through here. So in this open spot, you guys can see my trail camera on the tree right there. Basically, I'll have to show you guys, or try to show you guys on a map, the way this spot looks. But the way that this spot is set up is, it's in the shape of a teardrop. And I'm on the skinny end. And if you guys look out here, all along this tree line, just on the other side of it, there's a creek that runs through there. So this creek comes all the way around and then shoots straight out that direction. But it comes all the way through here, and then there's an open field back up on that side, or a more open area. And then right there, that really big tree that you guys are seeing is where my stand's gonna be. That's the end of the teardrop. So, you know, if you're looking at it in this shape right here, I'm on the very tip. So what this is, and I don't have a feeder here or anything, but what this is it's basically a pinch point. So these deer will come off the creek, and they will come out of a trail right in there, or out of the corner there, and also they will come out from right in here too. And what they do is they're coming off that creek. They use that creek to travel, and they'll come up into this open area right in here to feed. And then I think that their bedding area is back over in that direction. So I'm not in their bedding area, and I think that they use that creek to travel, obviously, and then they're coming up into this open area to do a little bit of feeding, and then they're pushing off over into their bed and bedding down for the night. Now, I have this here, and you guys can see that the ground is kind of worn down because I've had corn here. I've had hogs and deer eating here. And so it's a really, really good spot. Now, again, I can't take credit for finding this spot. James from Have Dominion Outdoors found this and set up here. He was the one that did the scouting for it originally several years ago. And so it's just a really good spot. Now, it's kind of close to the county road, which I've got a couple of spots like that in different properties that are real close to the county road. And while the location isn't all that secluded, I'm still back here in an area that is heavily wooded. So again, you guys can see my tree right there. Now, just behind my tree is a fence, and there's probably 20 yards in between my tree and the fence. Now, typically, I don't have any deer come in between me and that tree and the fence, which is good. You don't want anything behind you that can smell you. So the reason why this spot is so good is because everything comes from in front of me, all in front of me, for the most part. Now, I will have, every once in a while, I'll have a deer come from my left or my right. And so, you know, if your wind isn't absolutely 100% good, you could have a little bit of a problem there. Now, another thing that I wanted to mention with you guys is, whenever you go to set up a bow stand, you always want to make sure that whenever you're setting up, that you take into consideration for the wind. So that's probably the most important part in setting up a bow stand. And the reason being is because whenever you're bow hunting, you're going to be generally within 30 or 40 yards and in to whatever you're hunting. So if the wind's bad, they're going to be able to smell you. Whereas if you're in a rifle blind or you're rifle hunting, you don't have to worry about it as much. And so therefore, it's not as important if you're, you know, hunting with a gun from a box blind or something of that nature. Now, with a bow stand, this shot's going to be about 27 yards, if I remember right. And so this is set up perfect because I have that fence behind me, which generally nothing comes from behind me because on the other side of that fence is a very open field and there's cows back there. So the deer typically don't travel through that field very often. They stay on this heavily wooded side where they can run the creeks and they have plenty to eat. And then, of course, I'll bait them up to this point with corn or rice bran or my mixture, whatever I may have convenient at the time. And so, again, back to the wind, it's very important to keep that in your face. So while I could set up in that tree right there, or I could put a pop-up blind right in there, if I had a south wind, it would be blowing back this way. Now, if the wind was blowing back in my face and I was set up on that side of the opening, I would be good up until the deer got past me and they got out into here, into this open area in here, and started to feed. This spot right here is basically impossible to hunt with a north wind, which kind of stinks, but at the same time, down here in Texas, I don't see a north wind very often. Generally, just when we have cold fronts, and the rest of the time we have south winds, which is why this tree is so good. And everything comes from in front of me. If the wind's in my face, then I'm good. They'll stop here, and they'll either feed here, and of course, again, my tree is here, I'm here. The deer will come up and out. They'll feed in here, they'll come to my corn, then they'll push out that way, or they'll push out this way, or they'll go back down to the river. So this is super ideal because I never have to worry about an animal getting behind me and getting wind of me. Now, on top of that, this spot is also very good because you can see how covered it is. That's a big oak tree, and that's probably the second part that I'm going to lead into. You know, if I'm setting up a stand, number one, I want to make sure that my wind is going to be right. So the dominant wind around here is going to be a southeast wind, which is perfect for this spot. Now, the second thing I want to look for is cover. So with this tree right here, I'm going to have plenty of cover. And those are the two main things that I look for when I'm setting up a bow stand. Now, occasionally, there are some spots that I set up on where I'll have deer come from the sides of me, kind of back behind me and off, and they'll come right around me. And I typically don't like that because I'm not very successful in some of those situations. Now, this is just one of those really good spots where the deer come through and they'll never get behind me. So I want you guys to take that into consideration. You know, next time you're setting up a bow stand and you're thinking about that, make sure you got good cover, and make sure, and most importantly, make sure you've got a good wind. So what we're going to do is I'm going to crawl up this tree, I'm going to put that stand up, and I'm going to show you guys everything around me, and I'm going to show you my setups, the way I set up my cameras, what I do with all my gear, all that sort of stuff. And I'm also going to check this trail camera right here for you guys, and I will drop some of those pictures in for you guys right now. So I just got this first step in. Now, I typically prefer to use ladders, but in this situation I don't have one, and I wanted to go ahead and get this spot set up. Now, I have this first step in, and another thing that I wanted you guys to take into consideration is, if you can, use a ladder, just because I don't like, you know, drilling steps into trees, but whatever. But one thing I always take into consideration is, how can I minimize the number of steps that I use in a tree? Less steps, less holes. And so here's something that I want to show you guys. Now, you have to be super careful about this because you don't want to put yourself in a situation where you're climbing unsafely. If you can do it, then do it, and if not, then go ahead and add the extra steps. So I have this first one here, as you guys can see. My second step is going to be this branch right here, and you guys can tell we've already used it. It's kind of worn down. And then after that, I will have to add another one, of course, but I could have put one here, or I could have put one here, you know, just above that next one. But instead of doing that, I can go from that step, put my left foot on this branch, put another one up here, and then I can pull myself up with that limb right there, add another step, so on and so forth, all the way to the top. Now, I have 5 steps, so you guys can see them right there. Those aren't my most favorite steps to use. I like, there's some that are solid green, like OD green, and those are a whole lot more sturdy and stable than these are, but these are what I have, and so I'm going to put them to use. I know that they'll hold up, and I know that they'll last, but you know, the most important thing here is safety. And of course, I don't want to forget the most important thing, and that's having a harness. As I work my way up this tree and I get to the top, I will be setting my harness stuff up, but for today, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and set this stand, and whenever I come to hunt, I will bring my harness with me and go ahead and tie myself in. That's you know, that's the most important and safe thing to do when you're setting up spots, and of course when you're hunting as well. Now, I don't always do it, and I know that I should, but I'm not going to be all that high up in this tree. For my job during the week, I do a lot of climbing, and I climb antennas and water towers and stuff like that. So of course I always have a harness in those situations. Sometimes I don't, just depending on the height. And I know that it's always a good thing to wear it. So guys, I know that I'm not going to have one when I'm going up this tree and putting steps on and while I'm setting the stand, but it is very important to have it, and I recommend that you do have one at all times, regardless of the situation. And don't take after me. So don't try this at home without a harness. But with me, I have a lot of experience in climbing and doing this kind of thing, so that's why I'm not wearing one. I know that that's some people's famous last words, or that's some people's that was some people's saying just before they fell and broke some bones and got injured. Now, I know that the other reason why I'm not wearing one going up this thing right now is because I don't have one on me. It is at my house, so I'll have to go back and get that thing, and whenever I come to hunt the next time, I will set up in this tree and I will put my harness on and have everything there for safety. Another very important thing to take note of is to just go slow, be careful, wear your harness, and you'll be okay. Okay, so I had to shed the shirt on my way up. What I'm going to do now is I've got this camera arm, and I've got another piece of equipment that I'm going to take up, and there's still some like bow hangers and gear hangers and stuff from the last time that we hunted up in this spot last season. So I really don't have all that much to set up besides this stand right here and a camera arm. Another thing that I want you guys to take into consideration, it's always very important to climb with both hands free. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this stand right here. I'm going to figure out some way to latch it on to this backpack. Now what that does for me is that allows me to have both hands free to climb, and I don't have to worry about holding on to something with one hand and then trying to climb with the other hand. That's not safe, and so that's not how I'm going to do it. And whenever I completely finish setting up this spot, I will of course have the stand and a camera arm and my extra hangers and stuff up there, but I'll also have a string coming down. So what that does for me is, of course, you know, I can climb with both hands with this backpack on that has all my camera gear, but I can tie my bow off to the string, climb all the way up to the top of the stand. When I sit down and I get all my camera gear set up, then I can pull my bow up and do everything safely. Okay guys, so I'm up here now. As you can see, I have the stand set. I put a lot of straps on it just because it's safer. And so I do feel safe, but I would also feel a whole lot safer once I got my harness in. And that will be coming before the first time I ever hunt this, I can promise you that. So, I wanted to take a minute to kind of show you guys a few things. And the first thing I wanted to show you is this right here. So, this right here is where I'm going to hang my backpack as soon as I get up in here and sit down. And next, right above me here, is my bow hanger. So, that's whenever I'm hunting the spot, I only bring two different pieces of equipment, or basically two big items. That's my camera bag and my bow. And again, I will have a strap. I actually have them in my bag right now. And what I'm going to do with that strap is I'm going to tie it off to the stand and let it fall all the way to the bottom. So whenever I come to get in the stand, I of course will have my backpack on my back, so my hands will be free. And then I will tie my bow to the straps, and then I will climb all the way up here. I'll have both hands. I'll be able to get in the stand and then get my camera gear set up where I want it to go. And then from there, I will be able to pull my bow up and get my bow ready. The next thing I'm going to do now is I'm going to go ahead and get this camera arm up in the tree. Typically, I film on this camera right here, which is my big Canon, and I like to have it on my right side. So the reason I like to have it on my right side is because I can see this little flip screen right here on the left side. So if the camera's on my right, I will be able to see the screen on the left side of the camera, which allows me to see exactly what the camera's seeing without much movement. You know, if I put the camera on my left side, then the screen would be on the right side. If I put the camera on the left side, then of course, with the screen being on the left side of the camera, I would not be able to see the screen. So I always go to my right side. That allows me, again, to be able to see exactly everything that this camera is seeing, which is, you know, typically helpful whenever I'm trying to film some hunting videos for you guys. As the season goes on, I do plan to upgrade this stand. Something that's quite a bit more comfortable and safer in my opinion. But as for right now, and probably the next 2 months or so, this is the stand that I will be hunting out of for deer and for hogs as well. I have a lot of whitetail coming through here, and also have some older does on this property that need to be taken out, and so I've seen them a bunch in through here, and so this is going to be my setup and the spot that I'm going to hunt for some of these older does. I do notice one thing: I do have a little bit of trimming that I need to do on these trees, just get the tops off of them and open up my shooting lane, and a little bit over off to my left as well. But as this thing sits right now, it is huntable. Other than getting my harness up here, I am ready to go. I showed you guys this little portable camera arm in one of my previous videos, and again, this end just screws into a tree somewhere, and then I'm able to thread on any one of my cameras to this, and I will likely put this thing up somewhere in front of me. You guys can see right there, and I'll have a GoPro facing back down on me, or I'll put the GoPro behind me. It's just whatever I decide to do when the time comes, whatever's simple and of course safe and quick and easy. So I've hunted out of this stand. I filmed one, possibly 2 videos out of this spot. I have killed a hog here before. You guys saw that in the beginning of the video. I rolled some of that footage from this spot. This is a fun little video to film for you guys to kind of show you my setups and how I do it. And of course, you know, I'll have this camera here. I'll have a GoPro back for a reverse angle on me, or catch from behind me. So I'll put a GoPro back here to catch the entire thing. And then, of course, since I've got my new camera, I will have it set up somewhere as well, just for the extra angle for you guys, so I can show you more of the hunts. One thing I wish I would have brought is my little mini drone and film some footage with that. That would have been cool to show you guys what it looks like from a ways away, so you guys can see what I'm doing and how I am setting these spots up. And so it's really cool. This is something that I really enjoy doing. Not very many people enjoy setting up new spots, but I love doing it and seeing different views and stuff like that, and then being able to come back and hunt these spots and be successful in these places that you set up makes it even better. So I'm excited for the season. You guys have seen on that trail camera, there's quite a few deer coming through here. And if you have any questions or comments, of course, like I said in the beginning of the video, drop that down in the comment section below. I want to know how you guys set up your stands. What height do you like to be up in the tree? To me, it really doesn't matter, but I generally don't like to be any higher than about 20 feet. Not because I'm afraid of heights, but just because you have to do a little bit more moving to get the right shot that you need. You know, you got to bend at the waist, and it changes your form a little bit in some situations if you don't practice it very often. So about 20 feet is the max height that I like to be, and of course I don't want to be any lower than about 10 foot. So somewhere in that range, you know, 15 is a really good number to be at. You know, you're not too high, so in the accident, or in the case that you do happen to fall asleep or something of that nature, or you're climbing up and you fall, you don't have too far to go until you hit the ground. And I know that sounds terrible, and it's not something at all that we should joke about, and I'm not joking about it in any way, but you know, if you're going 20 foot, 25 foot, I know some people that hunt 30 foot up north, and that can be very scary. A 30-foot fall can absolutely take your life. And so while it's fun to show this stuff and share it with you guys, I absolutely 100% recommend wearing a harness in situations like this. So, you know, ratchet strapping, a little seat to a tree, absolutely wear a harness. You know, and for tripods and ladder stands, I typically don't wear harnesses in those situations, because I'm only at about 10 foot up in the air, and I know that 10 foot can still be a fatal fall depending on how you fall, and it can still cause you injury. I don't wear them in tripods just because typically when I set up a tripod and it's in a place where I can't really get close to a tree like this, so I can't really tie off to a place. And of course, with a tripod, it's got 3 legs. If it's fairly new and it's well built, it's not gonna, you know, it's not gonna just fall out from under you like this could. Same thing with a ladder stand. You know, you're leaned up against a tree, you have a ladder down below you to hold your weight, and of course it's also ratchet strapped to the tree. You're not gonna go anywhere. And as long as you drink coffee like I do in the mornings before you get in the stand, you'll be fine. You'll be wide awake, and
Typically it's hard for me to fall asleep in a stand anyway, in most cases, just because I can't help but stay awake because I'm afraid I'm going to miss something. So I never want to miss anything. I'm always excited to be in the stand, and my adrenaline's always running, especially during deer season when I know that there's an opportunity that I could shoot a big buck or something of the nature. But anyways, I just want to tell you guys to be as safe as possible, wear your harnesses. And again, like I said, I will be coming to put a harness in this tree just before I hunt it the first time, and that way I'll be safe as well. I also plan to change out this little stand here as well for something safer and more comfortable. I wanted to give you guys the wider angle look at this entire thing. So here you can see I have my big Canon, I have the camera arm. Here it is up against the tree wrapped around. It was hard to film a bunch of this setup stuff just because, of course, I didn't have this camera arm and I didn't really have a place to latch this thing on. And it's safer if I do it off camera and I'm not worried about trying to hold a camera and set stuff up. Anyways, you guys know the drill. But here I will show you this again because you have a better view of it now. This is where I will hang my bag. And then of course I've got these little hooks to hang little stuff if I need to. And then right up here is where my bow will hang. Now I didn't bring my bow with me this afternoon, but this is the setup. So there you have it, folks. I am headed out, and it's nice to be headed out lighter than what I came in with. Unless you're an elk hunter, then you want to be packing out heavy because that means you shot an elk. But anyway, here it is. I want to show you guys way up there. Like I said, that spot's probably, I guesstimated 20 foot, but in all honesty, I'm looking at only about 12 to 15, which is right about where I like to be. And so I do want to come out here and show you guys what this spot looks like from a deer's point of view. So again, right here is about where they'd be feeding. There's trail camera. It's going to be very hard for you guys to see it, which is good. But right along in there somewhere is going to be my stand. And the tops of these little trees right here will need to have some trimming done to them. But I will come out and do that on another day because I'm kind of strapped for time right now. And I really just wanted to get this spot set up. And I really wanted to film a video for you guys kind of showing you how all my stuff is set up and how I like to go about picking a good spot. And so I hope that you guys were able to learn something. I hope that y'all can use this stuff and some of this information to set up your next bow stand. And again, guys, please be super safe when you're setting up stuff like this. Sometimes higher can be better. Sometimes stay low. Stay lower in the tree. Instead of going 20 foot, go 15 foot, go 12 foot. And you may have to trim more for shooting lanes, but you know, it could be safer. Let's just put it that way. Right here is a look from the side for the stand. And again, I will be replacing that one. I don't know if I'll do it before season starts, but I'll replace it at some point. Something sturdier and, of course, more comfortable. But I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. I hope that y'all, again, I hope that y'all learned something. Feel free to ask me any questions that you have. And again, for the third time, drop some comments and let me know how you guys like to do it. Let me know the different ways that you do it. Let me know some different tips and tricks that you guys do that I may not have mentioned or I may not even know. So I love hearing from you guys, and I appreciate each and every one of you watching. If you would like, you can follow me on Instagram. I'll have it linked down below at 4B Bow Hunting and Outdoors. And with all that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. You guys are absolutely amazing. I love each and every one of you. I'll catch you on the next one.